My dear brothers and sisters, in this noisy world where everyone seems to be speaking, shouting, proving, I want to remind you of a sacred truth. Silence has its own power. There is a time to speak, yes. A time to raise your voice against injustice, a time to say yes to life and no to hate. But there is also a time, my friends, to be still, to let the world talk while you listen, to let your growth whisper quietly until it roars on its own. You see, when you focus on yourself, you become your own student and your own teacher. You learn that not every battle deserves your sword, not every critic deserves your reply, and not every stage deserves your presence. Silence, my dear, is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of power. It is the resting place of wisdom, the sacred space where the soul speaks louder than the tongue ever could. The world will tell you that to be heard is to be strong, that to win you must shout, that to prove your worth you must perform. But I tell you this, there is a kind of strength that does not roar. There is a kind of courage that stands tall in quiet dignity. There is a power in silence that humbles the proud and steadies the weary. When I was a child, I learned that silence could be both a friend and a teacher. It was in silence that I learned to listen to the heartbeat of the world, to the whispers of God, to the gentle voice inside myself that said, "Keep going." The world was noisy, full of opinions and directions and judgments, but silence was where I found my truth. You see, people will often misunderstand silence. They will look at your calm and call it weakness. They will mistake your peace for indifference, your stillness for surrender. But silence is not the retreat of the fearful. It is the sanctuary of the wise. Those who are sure of themselves do not need to shout to be seen. Those who are grounded in purpose do not tremble when the crowd goes silent. When you choose silence, you are choosing to conserve your power. You are choosing to speak only when your words can build, not break. You are refusing to feed the noise that demands your reaction but offers no respect in return. Every time you stay silent when chaos tries to provoke you, you are teaching the world that you will not be moved by its storms. You are saying, without words I know who I am and I am not easily shaken. Silence is a kind of language all its own. It is a pause between your pain and your purpose. It is the breath you take before you rise again. It is the stillness before the song. And in that stillness your spirit gathers its strength. You begin to see what really matters. You begin to hear what you had been too busy to feel. You begin to recognize that some of life's loudest lessons are taught in whispers. There will come a time when you will want to answer every critic, correct every lie, explain every misunderstood intention. But my dear, don't. The truth has a way of standing on its own feet even when you sit in silence. The truth doesn't tremble when it's tested. It doesn't crumble when it's questioned. It waits, patient and steady, until it shines clear through the fog of doubt. And when it does, you will find that your silence was never a sign of defeat, but a testimony of faith. The greatest souls have known the discipline of silence. They have walked through the fires of misunderstanding without uttering a word, because they knew the difference between reacting and responding. They understood that the loudest voice in the room is rarely the most wise. They learned that peace is more valuable than proving a point. And they learned, most importantly, that when you keep your peace, you keep your power. There is something deeply beautiful about a person who knows when to speak and when to stay still. They walk into a room and the air changes. They don't compete for attention. Attention comes to them. They don't chase validation. They live in alignment. And that alignment, that deep, unshakable connection to self, makes their silence louder than any speech. Silence does not mean you are disengaged from life. It means you are engaged with your spirit. It means you are tending to your garden while the world watches the weeds. It means you are learning, reflecting, growing. There is no shame in quiet. There is no shame in saying, "Not now. I am nurturing something within me." And when the time comes to speak, oh, how powerful your voice will be, because it will not come from reaction but from revelation. It will not come from ego but from experience. It will not come to prove you are right, but to share what you have learned. A person who has mastered the art of silence does not waste words. They know the weight of every syllable. They speak from a place of truth, and truth always carries authority. I want you to remember this. Storms make noise, but the sun rises in silence. The moon moves the tides without saying a word. Trees grow without applause. The earth itself spins quietly beneath our feet, holding oceans and mountains and miracles, all without a sound. So do not let anyone tell you that your silence is empty. It is full, full of grace, full of strength, full of becoming. In your journey, there will be moments when your silence will save you. When walking away will be the wisest thing you ever do. When listening will teach you more than speaking ever could. Hold on to those moments. Cherish them. They are the golden threads that weave patience into power, humility into greatness. Let the noise of the world pass like wind through the trees and stay rooted in your peace. Let your silence be your sanctuary. Let it protect your dreams, your dignity, your divine purpose. And when you do speak, let your words rise from the well of wisdom that silence has filled. For in the end, my dear, the world will remember not how loud you were, but how deeply you lived. They will remember the calm in your presence, the gentleness in your strength, and the grace with which you carried your silence. To focus on yourself is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of survival. It is the declaration that you matter, your peace, your growth, your healing, your joy. Too often the world will have you pouring from an empty cup, giving and giving until you have nothing left but a faint echo of your own name. But I tell you, my dear, you cannot light the path for others if your own flame has gone out. You must tend to your own fire first. There is beauty in caring for others, in loving deeply, in serving humanity with open hands. But there is also wisdom in pausing long enough to care for the vessel that gives that love. You are not a machine built to run endlessly. You are a soul, tender, brilliant, and deserving of rest. To focus on yourself is to return home to the place within you that remembers who you are before the world told you who you should be. When you begin to turn inward, you meet the truth of yourself, not the mask, not the performance, not the version of you that earns approval, but the real you. The one who laughs loudly when no one is watching, the one who cries at midnight and still wakes up to try again, the one who carries old wounds but still believes in tomorrow, that you deserves your attention, that you deserves your time. Focusing on yourself means learning what feeds your spirit and what drains it. It means setting boundaries that protect your peace, even when people don't understand them. It means saying no with grace and yes with purpose. It means being brave enough to disappoint others if it means being true to yourself. The truth is, my dear, you can love people and still choose yourself. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can be giving without being consumed. Growth is not always loud or beautiful. Sometimes it is quiet and uncomfortable. It is learning to sit in the dark and trust that the light will return. It is forgiving yourself for the mistakes that still whisper your name in regret. It is finding the courage to look at your reflection. Not the filtered image you show the world, but the raw truth of your becoming, and saying, I still choose you. Focusing on yourself is not isolation, it is alignment. It is drawing closer to the rhythm of your soul so you can walk in step with your purpose. When you focus inward, you begin to see how much of your energy was wasted on proving, pleasing, performing. You start to see that peace was never in the applause, it was in the quiet moments when you honored your own truth. There will always be those who say you've changed. They'll say you're distant, different, detached. Smile gently, my dear, because that's the point. You cannot stay small to keep others comfortable. You cannot remain in the same space when your soul is calling you higher. Growth demands distance from the noise. It requires solitude. The butterfly must leave the cocoon to fly, and you must leave your comfort to rise. When you focus on yourself, you start to notice the divine in everyday things. The way the morning light enters your window becomes a prayer. The sound of your laughter becomes a hymn. The stillness between your breaths becomes a conversation with God. You begin to see that the sacred was never far away, it was always within you, waiting for your attention. To focus on yourself also means to heal what has been left unattended. There are wounds we bury so deeply that we forget they exist, yet they shape how we love, how we trust, how we dream. Healing requires courage. It asks you to look at the pain you've avoided and say, I will not let this define me anymore. Healing does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding. It means standing where you once fell and realizing you have grown roots there. There is no shame in stepping back to rebuild. There is no guilt in needing rest. The world glorifies exhaustion and calls it success. But the wise know that true success is peace. True success is waking up with gratitude and laying down with grace. It is knowing that your worth is not in what you produce, but in who you are becoming. The journey of focusing on yourself is not a straight path. Some days you will feel strong, centered, and unstoppable. Other days you will question everything, your choices, your direction, your progress. But even in your doubt, keep going. The act of showing up for yourself each day, even when it's hard, is an act of victory. You are rewriting your story one moment at a time. In your quiet moments of reflection, you will begin to hear the voice of your intuition, that ancient knowing guide that has lived in you since birth. It will whisper reminders that you are enough, that you are capable, that you are loved without condition. Trust that voice. It is your compass in a world that often tries to lead you astray. And when you focus on yourself long enough, something miraculous happens. You begin to overflow. Your peace touches others. Your healing inspires healing. Your light invites others to find their own. You don't have to preach it, post it, or prove it. Your very presence becomes a lesson in self-love. People will feel the difference in you, not because you've become louder, but because you've become whole. So my dear, keep your heart steady and your gaze inward. Tend to your spirit with the same care you would offer a child or a garden. Celebrate your small victories. Honor your tears and rest when your soul is weary. There is no race to win, only a journey to embrace. And remember, focusing on yourself does not mean turning your back on the world. It means preparing yourself to meet it with fullness, grace, and truth. It means arriving whole, not broken. It means being a living example of what it looks like to love yourself enough to live with intention. The world needs people who are at peace with themselves. People who have done the work within so they can bring healing without. So, take your time, my dear. Breathe deeply. Walk slowly. Trust that every moment you invest in yourself is shaping a brighter, stronger, gentler you. Because when you focus on yourself, not in arrogance but in awareness, you do not dim the light of others. You become a lantern in the dark, shining from the strength of your own flame. My dear, not every battle deserves your sword. Not every noise deserves your reply. There is power, deep and lasting, in knowing when to walk away from the battlefield with your peace still intact. The world will tempt you to react, to defend yourself against every rumor, to argue with every critic, to prove your worth to those who cannot see it. But let me tell you, wisdom begins the moment you understand that silence is not surrender, and restraint is not weakness. There is a kind of freedom that only comes when you stop answering to every voice that calls your name. When you stop chasing validation like it's oxygen, you realize you've been breathing just fine on your own. Not every comment deserves your correction, and not every confrontation is an invitation you must accept. You are not required to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is smile, turn away, and let peace be your answer. The world is filled with noise, opinions wrapped in ego, judgments disguised as concern, and criticism served as advice. If you let every sound enter your spirit, you will never find stillness. Protect your peace the way you would protect a child, fiercely, tenderly, and without apology. Because peace is precious, my dear. It is the soil where your dreams take root. If you keep letting conflict trample through your garden, nothing of beauty will grow there. You must learn the sacred art of discernment, the wisdom to know which battles are yours and which belong to God. There are times when you must speak, when silence would be injustice. But there are also times when silence is the highest form of dignity. There are moments when your silence will confuse those who seek your reaction, and that confusion will be your quiet victory. People will provoke you, not because they see your weakness, but because they sense your strength. They will test your patience to see if your peace is real. And in those moments you must remember your peace is your crown. Do not lay it down to wrestle with those still searching for their own. If someone can pull you out of character with a few words, then they hold your power. But when you choose not to respond, not to match their chaos with your calm, you reclaim that power and wear it like armor. It takes courage to walk away from a fight that your pride wants to win. It takes maturity to stay silent when your ego is screaming for justice. But peace is not the child of pride, it is the child of grace. And grace knows that you do not have to win every argument to prove your worth. Sometimes walking away is the greatest declaration of strength there is. Remember this. Peace is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and disciplined. It takes effort to stay calm when chaos calls your name. It takes prayer to stay centered when others try to pull you off your path. But every time you choose peace over pettiness, you rise a little higher. Every time you choose understanding over anger, you grow a little wiser. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you become a little freer. Not every battle you face is meant to be fought. Some are meant to teach. Some come to test your patience, some to strengthen your restraint, and some simply to remind you that not everything that touches you deserves a response. The wise know that responding to every slight, every rumor, every insult is like throwing stones at every barking dog on the road. You will never reach your destination. There is a beautiful stillness in choosing to protect your energy. You begin to understand that people's words are reflections of their own world, not yours. A bitter tongue speaks from a bitter heart. A harsh critic reveals more about their wounds than your worth. And when you understand this, you stop taking things so personally. You begin to see that most people are not fighting you, they are fighting themselves, and you simply got in the way. When someone tries to provoke you, let your peace be your response. Not silence out of fear, but silence out of strength. Not silence that hides, but silence that guards. Because there is a difference between ignoring and transcending. Ignoring is avoidance. Transcending is wisdom. You do not lower yourself to the level of those who misunderstand you. You rise, and in rising, you remind them of what self-control looks like. It's not always easy. There will be moments when anger burns in your chest like fire, when your tongue aches to defend your truth. But in those moments, breathe. Remember that the truth has a way of shining on its own even if you never say a word. Time has a voice, and it speaks clearer than any argument. Let time do what time does best, reveal. You are not here to prove your worth to anyone. You are not here to convince the blind of your vision or the deaf of your song. You are here to live, to grow, to rise in your own time. When you waste your energy on battles that don't build you, you delay your own becoming. Focus on what feeds your spirit. Let go of what drains it. The rivers do not argue with the rocks, they flow around them. The stars do not compete for light, they shine where they are placed. And the trees do not shout at the wind to stop, they bend with grace. So should you. Flow around obstacles, shine where you stand, and bend with the wind. But never break your peace to match someone's storm. There will be those who mistake your calm for cowardice, your silence for submission. Let them. You owe no explanation for your peace. The one who holds peace holds power. For when the noise fades and the dust settles, the quiet soul is still standing. And when you look back, you will see that the battles you did not fight were the ones that allowed you to keep your joy, your dignity, your grace. You will thank yourself for every argument you walked away from, for every insult you did not return, for every moment you chose peace over pride. So hold your peace close, my dear. Guard it like a flame on a windy night. Speak when it adds value, and stay silent when it protects your spirit. Not every battle is worth the bruises, and not every noise deserves your voice. Growth, my dear, is a quiet thing. It does not come with trumpets or crowds. It comes softly, like dawn creeping into the room after a long night. It does not announce itself. It unfolds, and it unfolds most beautifully in private. The greatest transformations often happen when no one is watching, when you are alone with your thoughts, your fears, your hopes, and your faith. People love the flower but seldom think of the seed. They admire the bloom, but they forget that before the petals came the darkness, the soil, the silence, the stillness. You see, before anything beautiful rises, it must first be buried. And being buried is not the same as being forgotten. It is a sacred preparation, a hidden process, a divine design. The soil does not reject the seed, it holds it. It nurtures it in a silence so deep that only creation itself can understand. And so it is with you. When life covers you in darkness, when it feels like the world has turned its back, do not despair. You are not being buried. You are being planted. What is happening in secret is building the strength that will one day sustain your rise. You are learning lessons that will not make headlines but will make you whole. Growth is often invisible before it is undeniable. The quiet season is the proving ground of the soul. It is there you learn patience, humility, and trust. It is there you learn to sit still with your pain until it becomes your teacher. It is there you learn that solitude is not loneliness, it is sacred company. You begin to discover the voice within you, the one that whispers truth while the world shouts lies. You begin to see that your silence is not empty, it is full of becoming. We live in a world that celebrates the visible, the followers, the applause, the success that can be seen. But the foundation of every great life is built in moments no one else sees. The writer's first draft, the singer's rehearsals, the prayer whispered in the dark. These are the hidden places where greatness is formed. So do not rush to be seen. Do not despise your hidden season. The longer the roots grow underground, the taller the tree can rise without falling. Sometimes, God hides you because He is still shaping you. You are not ready for the sunlight just yet. You are still gathering strength. You are still shedding what cannot survive your next season. The waiting, the silence, the seeming stagnation, these are not punishments. They are preparations. The caterpillar is not dead in the cocoon. It is transforming, and so are you. There is beauty in the unseen work. There is honor in the unseen struggle. The world may not applaud your endurance, but heaven does. Every tear you've cried in silence, every time you chose peace over bitterness, every morning you rose again after a night of doubt, that is growth, quiet, invisible, holy growth. You must learn to be content in your unseen moments. Do not measure your worth by what others can witness. Your private progress is just as sacred as your public victories. When you work on yourself, healing, learning, forgiving, you are planting seeds of strength that will one day bloom in your life. And when they do, people will call it sudden success. But you will know it was years in the making. You will know it was born in silence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay still and let the process work. A seed that tries to escape the soil too soon dies before it blooms. The same is true for you. Trust the timing of your life. Trust the slow, steady rhythm of growth. You may not see progress every day, but every day you are becoming stronger, wiser, more rooted. You are growing in ways the eye cannot see. When you are in your quiet season, people may misunderstand you. They may think you are lost, when in truth you are finding yourself. They may think you are stuck, when in truth you are preparing to soar. Do not explain your silence to those who cannot hear its music. Keep working, keep believing, keep nurturing the garden within you. And one day, without warning, you will rise. The world will see what the silence was creating all along. They will marvel at your strength, your grace, your light. But you will know that every moment of pain, every hidden tear, every quiet prayer was worth it, because what grows in the dark cannot be easily destroyed. Remember this, the moon does not shout to be seen, it simply rises and the world looks up. The mountain does not announce its strength. It stands unmoved and time bows before it. So too must you learn to let your growth speak for itself. When the time comes, your life will testify without you saying a word. Do not envy the ones who shine before they are ready. Some lights burn bright and vanish quick. But the flame that is tended slowly in patience and faith will glow for a lifetime. Your time will come, but let it come naturally. Do not tear open the cocoon to speed your flight. The struggle is what gives you wings. In your season of hidden growth, be gentle with yourself. Rest when you must. Pray when you can. Forgive yourself for not being there yet. You are on your way. The roots beneath the soil are stronger than the flowers above it. And when your time to bloom arrives, you will not just rise, you will stand tall, unshaken, and radiant with all that you have endured. The world will one day see the beauty that came from your silence. They will see how your patience became your strength. They will see how your faith turned your pain into purpose. And they will say, "How did you become so strong?" You will smile softly and say, "I grew in the dark." So hold fast, my dear. Do not curse the quiet places. Do not rush the process. Every root, every tear, every waiting moment is working in your favor. You are growing, not for the applause, not for the eyes of others, but for the fulfillment of your own becoming. There comes a time in every life when words no longer carry the weight they once did. A time when you realize that your actions, your presence, your way of moving through the world, these speak louder than any speech ever could. My dear, let your life be your language. Let your peace be your punctuation. Let your actions tell the story that words can only begin to whisper. We live in a world swollen with words. So many are talking, and so few are living what they say. Promises fall like rain, yet roots of integrity remain dry. But a person who acts with quiet conviction, who moves with love and discipline, who builds rather than boasts, that person commands a respect that no shout can demand. When your actions align with your truth, you don't need to chase validation. It comes humbly to meet you. There is a kind of beauty that cannot be spoken, it can only be seen. It is found in the way you rise after every fall, the way you smile through your pain, the way you keep faith when nothing makes sense. These things are louder than words. They are the poetry of the soul, written not on paper but in the way you live each day. You must understand, my dear, that people will forget what you said, and they may even forget what you did, but they will never forget how your presence made them feel. If your actions leave behind a trail of kindness, of grace, of truth, you have spoken the most eloquent sermon of all. You do not need to announce your goodness. Goodness has a way of announcing itself. Let your work speak for you. Let your consistency be your reputation. When you promise, deliver. When you love, love deeply. When you give, give without expectation. The world listens differently to those who walk in integrity. You will find that you don't need to defend yourself when your life is your defense. You don't need to explain your intentions when your actions reveal them. Truth, like light, does not argue with the dark. It simply shines. There will be times when people question you, doubt you, or talk behind your back. Let them. Keep doing what you were called to do. Keep moving with purpose. The fruit of your labor will silence their noise. You see, my dear, time is the greatest witness. It unveils the authentic and exposes the false. You need only to keep tending your garden, and in due season the blooms will speak for themselves. There's a reason the tree makes no sound as it grows, yet offers shade to many. There's a reason rivers do not brag of their journey, yet they carve valleys and nourish life. So too must you move, steady, sure, and silent in your purpose. Let your gentleness be your strength, your humility be your armor, and your perseverance be your voice. The world loves performance. It wants you to broadcast your progress, to prove your worth, to display your every achievement. But real success, real peace does not need an audience. It stands firm in the quiet, knowing that the work is being done, even if no one is watching. And when the time is right, that quiet work will speak volumes. You won't have to announce your arrival. Your growth will introduce you. Do not rush to show your results. Do not waste energy proving yourself to those who have already decided not to see you. The people meant to recognize your light will not need convincing. They will simply feel its warmth. Keep shining. Keep doing the work. One day your results will speak in rooms your words never could. Sometimes the greatest testimony is not found in what you say, but in what you endure. the way you carry yourself through hardship, the grace with which you respond to cruelty, the patience with which you wait for what's yours. All of these tell the world who you truly are. You teach by example. You lead by presence. You heal by being. And know this, my dear. When you let your actions speak, the right people will listen. Those who are drawn to truth will find you. Those who are guided by sincerity will stay. And those who thrive on noise will pass by, unable to hear the quiet melody of your authenticity. Let them go. For your task is not to be heard by everyone, but to live truthfully before the one who hears all. To act with integrity in a world of illusion is no small thing. To choose kindness when cruelty is easier is no small thing. To keep faith when the world grows cynical, that too is no small thing. These are the acts that shape legacies. These are the choices that echo long after the voice has gone silent. There is a strength in humility that the world cannot comprehend. When you do good without seeking recognition, when you forgive without fanfare, when you love without demand, you plant seeds that will grow in hearts long after you're gone. That is the true measure of a life well lived. You may never see the full harvest of your actions, but know that every deed born from love lives on in the lives it touches. So walk gently but with purpose. Speak softly but with truth. Move slowly but with intention. Let your actions be like a steady drumbeat that others can trust, reliable, unshaken, and true. You do not need to be the loudest to be the most powerful. You only need to be consistent. The sun never shouts at the earth to rise, it simply appears and everything responds to its light. In the end, your legacy will not be written in your words, but in the lives you've touched, the love you've shared, the peace you've protected, the dreams you've nurtured in others by showing them what quiet courage looks like. When people speak of you, let them say not, "She spoke beautifully, but she lived beautifully." Let them say, "Her words were kind, but her actions were kinder." For there is no greater testament than a life lived with grace, no louder voice than one that speaks through love, and no finer art than walking through this world as a living poem, one written not in ink but in deeds. So, my dear, let your heart be steady, your hands open, and your actions sure. Do not waste breath on proving what your presence already declares. Keep doing the work, keep walking in light. Because when the time comes, your life will be your greatest speech, and it will echo long after your voice has gone silent.